If we didn't have contestants falling short by a large margin in the dish department, we wouldn't have much of a show to watch. And that brings to mind this contestant, who left Chef Ramsay speechless for all the wrong reasons. During the signature dish challenge, Antonio went up against Curtis. And although he didn't present the best of dishes, he simply got lucky because Antonia's was the worst.
It's a Mardi Gras gumbo.
Oh God!
Plus, Chef Ramsay's reaction was totally unexpected.
Does it normally look like a plate of liquid shit?
Well, sorry Chef Ramsay, because the disaster you're looking at was supposed to be a Mardi Gras gumbo. But well, the presentation was far from appealing. The best part is that Antonia was pretty confident about her dish. So much so that she claimed that anyone, and I mean anyone who tasted the dish, would absolutely fall in love with it. Now, would Chef Ramsay feel the same? Let's see about that one.
Oh, excuse me. Fucking hell.
Well, it tasted exactly how Chef Ramsay described it.
Oh shit.
And at this point, the famous chef had some serious concerns.
Have you tasted that?
No, I didn't get a chance to taste it, Chef.
The worst part is, she didn't even taste the dish for seasoning before serving it. How can you call yourself a chef but not even use basic common sense? Or are you so confident that it's gonna taste perfect every single time that you don't have to try it yourself first? To make things even worse, Antonia decided it was the perfect time to throw in some attitude.
I'm so sorry you don't like it.
Don't like it? It's unedible.
Okay, then throw it out.
Nah, serving a horrible dish with a side of bad attitude is the worst possible mistake you can do. But Chef Ramsay just wasn't having any of it.
Pass it along.
It was completely repulsive. I would have rather had a cat shit in my mouth.
He decided to pass the gumbo around, and I think the contestants' reactions speak volumes of how horrible the dish truly was. And for those of you who claim that Chef Ramsay often exaggerates his reactions for the cameras, well, sit down. Cause just take a look at how the others reacted.
I don't even know how to explain that.
Well, Season 8 was definitely one for the books, but there's no doubt that Season 4 had its own brand of talented chefs. But Matt, his culinary skills were questionable right from the start. When Matt walked up to present his signature dish, he hoped that it would stand out from the rest. Now, in a way, that's exactly what happened, but not in the way that he expected. Poor Chef Ramsay, give this man a break. I mean, really, how much could one man take? So what happened is, Matt presented Chef Ramsay his exotic tartare, which consisted of raw venison, diverse scallops, caviar, and wait for it.
With caviar and white chocolate.
Yeah, I'm about as baffled as all of you. If you want to learn how to destroy an already questionable dish, Matt is your guy. I mean, what was he thinking? And Chef Ramsay, well, he was beyond shocked.
And white chocolate. Do you smoke?
Good question, because there's absolutely no way someone would even think of such an absurd combination without being high. So it should go without saying that the dish was a complete disaster, right? But this next dish? Well, if we're talking about being repulsive, it totally beats Matt's signature dish by leaps and bounds. Somehow. I'm talking about the disaster that was the first episode of Season 6 for Tech More.
Oh, and by the way, it's raw.
I mean, seriously, it was a complete train wreck, and this is why.
That's overcooked now.
So, after a whopping 40 minutes into the episode, the Red Kitchen was still knee-deep in chaos, and things looked pretty bleak. But the real disaster was Tech's scallops. Chef Ramsay, well, he didn't hold back one bit. He laid into Tech for those scallops, and honestly, when you look at how badly they were cooked, you can't help but cringe. I mean, how on earth could she send something like that to the past in good conscience? Anyway, if you thought it couldn't get any worse, then think again. Because what happened next definitely made things worse.
Rubber, rubber, rubber! It's limp and shit!
They had to hit the reset button not once, not twice, but over and over again. Pasta turned into a mushy paste, scallops continued to be as raw as the day they came out of the water, and Tennille rightly declared the situation an apocalyptic disaster in the making. The chaos was absolutely unreal. But that reminds me, let's talk about what happened with Mike Aresta's first attempt to impress Chef Ramsay. You see, most contestants give it their all to make an impression. And then there are people like Mike.
Tortellini, what's inside the filling?
It's just a cheese. It's a packaged tortellini, fresh tortellini.
Wait, did he just say packaged? Oh boy. If there's one thing we know about Chef Ramsay, this man truly hates anything packaged or canned. And the worst part is that Mike firmly believes that packaged tortellini was the real deal. Plus, from there on out, things only got worse.
Please tell me you use fresh tomatoes.
They were canned tomatoes.
Yeah, so to put it simply, every single ingredient that Mike could use either came from a package or a can. Which brings us to an important question. What did he cook exactly? Well, looks like Chef Ramsay has an answer.
Come on, that was a joke.
I mean, why am I not surprised? This dude was literally asking for trouble. And guess what? Mike wasn't the only one who tested Chef Ramsay's patience. Because what Chef Ramsay compared this next dish to was gross as hell. Let's dive into the juicy deets about Colleen Cleek from season 5 and how her signature dish didn't exactly blow the doors off the place.
Who's cooked the diapers?
Okay, that would be the last thing I'd compare smoked chicken enchiladas with poblano cream sauce to. But Chef Ramsay's never wrong in his judgment, right? And well, what more can you expect from someone like this?
I'm a culinary instructor. I own a recreational cooking school.
And were you a trained chef?
No, I am not a trained chef.
Not a trained chef? Yeah, turns out Colleen had never stepped into an actual culinary school. But that didn't stop Colleen from trying to get rich quick as a culinary instructor, charging a jaw-dropping $300 for her expertise. Chef Ramsay couldn't believe his ears, and he definitely didn't like what he heard and saw. But would his taste buds fare any better?
You seriously charge $300 to teach people how to make that crap?
At this point, I really feel bad for all of those people who signed up for her classes. You see, Colleen's dish was a huge flop on the show, but that attitude is what really gets me.
I teach manners too, chef.
Being so arrogant in front of a legend like Chef Ramsay when he's telling you that you suck is completely insane. And yeah, you could probably guess how well things went from there.
Okay, please, Miss Manners, fuck off back in line.
Okay, so if you thought adding white chocolate or packaged food to a dish was bad, then this next dish is one you're gonna want to pay attention to.
What is that on there?
You see, when Rachel Brown stepped up to present her dish, she proudly declared herself a redneck and made it clear that she wasn't one to be messed with. But her dish told an entirely different story.
It's butterflied shrimp and chocolate sauce.
Oh, fucking hell.
Butterflied shrimp with chocolate sauce? Really? To me, Chef Ramsay's face said it all. He wasn't even impressed by the concept. And I mean, anyone with taste buds could probably tell you that that wouldn't work, but still. The crazy part came when she warned him about a red chili flake, and well, he didn't hold back. The famous chef had a lot of things to say about his own taste buds.
No, sweetheart, my mouth's fucked. It's not on fire.
And then it was time to deliver the verdict.
Totally obliterated with the silly chocolate sauce. Far too much chocolate.
If only she could have substituted the chocolate with some other sauce. Like maybe if you weren't married to the idea of using chocolate, it could have been an absolute hit. But it is what it is. The dish was weirder than anything Chef Ramsay could ever imagine. And honestly, could you even blame him? As for Rachel, she stood her ground and claimed that her dish was near perfect. But at least she had the dignity to try and spend her ideas, unlike this next contestant who did nothing more than stand around.
People probably look at me and be, oh, here's another pretty girl.
So Lacey was on a mission during the signature dish challenge, determined to show how she could keep up with the big guys. But let's see how her dish measured up. Lacey was the 5th contestant to face Chef Ramsay, presenting her chicken in blackberry sauce. However, the famous chef's reaction was far from what she expected.
Holy crap. Whose is that?
It's mine, chef.
When Ramsay asked her where it came from, she proudly mentioned her workplace.
I do corporate dining.
Not like a restaurant, is it?
It's a buffet-style restaurant.
Turns out, the dish was inspired by a corporate dining buffet-style restaurant. Chef Ramsay already had his doubts, but he decided to give it a try anyway. I mean, how bad could it be, right? Well...
That's definitely corporate. You serve, they eat.
Yes, chef.
Straight after, they vomit.
Yes, chef.
He spat it out immediately and made it clear how stomach-turning it was. Ouch, that was brutal. However, despite the disaster, Lacey didn't give up.
That was not me on a plate. I'm just hoping that he gives me enough of a chance.
The determination was real, but Chef Ramsay's standards were even higher. Better luck next time, Lacey. But for her sake, I hope she never returns. Anyway, what happened in this wedding planning challenge was even worse.
I didn't put you in charge, madam. You're standing there acting like some jumped-up little cave woman.
You see, things got pretty heated among the women, especially thanks to Melissa's strong opinions.
I like lamb.
I think we should go with the duck.
Is that going to be feasible for all those people for the wedding reception?
She suggested using duck instead of lamb as the main dish, and despite concerns from Jen about the cooking time, the team went along with her decision anyway. During the actual cooking, she insisted that the women ask her for direction following Chef Ramsay's preference. But you could almost feel the tension brewing between the teammates.
Anybody has a question, let's just ask me, since that's what the chef's been doing.
Oh, yeah.
Julia snarkily commented on Melissa's work ethics, and when Julia tried to sear the duck breast, Melissa interfered by insulting Bonnie and creating even more chaos. Julia, trying to wrest the duck breast, faced Melissa's interference yet again, and this caused a heated argument. When Chef Ramsay asked if everyone was happy, tensions flared as the women blamed Melissa for her dictatorship approach. She argued back, claiming that she wasn't trying to control everything, but Chef Ramsay quickly reminded her that the challenge was supposed to be a team effort. And by the way, nobody had laid the responsibility of being a leader on her anyway. To make matters worse, when they learned that the wedding couple would taste their dishes with Chef Ramsay, Melissa was horrified. And well, she had a good reason for it.
Chef, I don't think that we should serve them our food.
Despite several attempts, Melissa couldn't convince Chef Ramsay to not serve their dish. And finally, the red team ended up serving the appetizer, some puff pastry with brie cheese and strawberry, and trust me, it didn't go well for them.
Would you be happy to have the crab as your first dish?
I think that would be great.
Good.
Now, while they lost to Brad's dish, that doesn't mean Melissa's attitude improved during the meat round. She tried to clash with Jen and tried to put a stop to her duck breast dish. But Chef Ramsay, fed up with her attitude, ordered them to serve their meat dish as is. And well, he probably regretted it later because this is what the red team came up with.
Right. Okay,
Was that supposed to be a complete dish? Because to me, it just looks like a chunk of duck breast and that's about it. No seasoning, no sauce, and no garnish? Nothing. Now, let's not forget that the team was preparing dishes that were supposed to be worthy of a wedding feast here. And Chef Ramsay made sure to remind them of that.
Nobody's gonna eat that.
Man, that was embarrassing. In the end, the red team lost the challenge and received a punishment to decorate the dining room instead of whipping up delicious food for the wedding service. Now, this definitely reminds me of what happened during the 160th sorority anniversary planning of season 12. When one of the members mentioned that they love to have a southern-themed menu to pay tribute to their home state of Georgia, Keisha was beyond excited. For someone who grew up with nothing but soul food down in the South, this challenge was close to her heart. But sadly, all that excitement soon came to an end real quick.
I have to say that I loved the coating on Blue Team's chicken.
Keisha served some fried chicken with mac and cheese, collard greens, ham, and hot sauce. Now, even though the collard greens and mac and cheese got props, she ended up losing to Jason, which totally threw her off. But wait, there's more to the story. When she teamed up with Jessica on the fried chicken station, let's just say that it didn't go too smoothly for Keisha.
Any news?
Yeah, we're gonna need 2 more minutes.
Another 2 minutes.
Despite all her confidence, her chicken came out raw. I mean, chicken's probably the easiest thing you can cook. How could she mess that up? However, when she tried to give it another go, well, it only made things even worse.
It's pink and it's fucking raw.
Of course, Chef Ramsay was pissed and gave the pair a hell of a warning by threatening to send them home if it didn't go well next time. But this next contestant claimed his dish was a diner special, but Chef Ramsay thought otherwise. So this guy proudly presented his sausage gravy over biscuits, boasting about it being a diner special for $4.75 with coffee. And yet, somehow, he decided it was fit to present this gourmet dish at Hell's Kitchen. Very interesting. Anyway, even just going by the presentation, Chef Ramsay wasn't impressed.
Well, f*** me.
As for the taste, Chef Ramsay took a bite and bam, he spat it right back out.
Oh, it tastes like gunk.
But Louis really took offense to that. He stood by his dish that hundreds devoured weekly at his diner. Now, despite losing to Tech, the blue team clinched the challenge 3-2 thanks to the efforts of his teammates. But that was just the beginning of his long ride downhill. During the dinner service, Louis busted out yet another unappealing dish.
No salt, no pepper, no seasoning, not even seared.
Okay, now that really doesn't look good. However, it's not like Louis had it easy during the service. Just moments earlier, he was caught trying to place raw, unseasoned lamb in the oven by Chef Ramsay. And oh, that wasn't all. He was also caught doing duties that weren't assigned to him. For whatever reason, Chef Ramsay found him also doing Joseph's chores. Anyway, let's get back to the dish. Despite all the blunders, Louis was 100% sure that the dish would turn out great, but was it?
What is that? Did you bite that?
Wait, what? The dude couldn't even slice lamb correctly, and here he was, putting up a fight with some of the best chefs in town. Like seriously, how did he even make it this far? Of course, Chef Ramsay couldn't resist giving him a good earful over this. And well, he totally deserved that. The dude had all but butchered the hell out of a perfectly good piece of lamb. But wait, it wasn't just one piece of lamb. Just take a look at what Chef Ramsay discovered at his station.
Look! Look! What the fuck is this?
Oh yeah, the disastrous sight was reason enough for Chef Ramsay to eliminate him right on the spot.
Get out! Yes, get fucked!
What followed next was Louis' colorful farewell to Chef Ramsay and a quick exit through the delivery dock. Dude didn't even get the honor of a proper walkout. Anyway, now how many of you think Raj was planted in season 8 just to boost the ratings? I mean, the guy was comedy gold. And this one particular dinner service really put that part of him on display. So Raj was in charge of presenting the salmon right in the middle of a chaotic service. But guess what? The famous chef found that the karate guru had cooked the salmon in some seriously gross stock.
What is that stock he's putting in that salmon?
I grilled it and I finished it with a little bit of sauce.
Now, Ramsay decided to give it a try, cause how bad could it be, right?
No sauce, bro.
It was horrible. As a result, the blue team had to start over, and Raj was like, I got this, refired salmon coming right up. But then he pulled a 180 and admitted that he needed one more minute. Though Chef Ramsay was not having it, he straight up called him a freaking bozo. Finally, when Raj brought out the salmon, Chef Ramsay hoped for the best. But this time, it was raw. And you have to see how Chef Ramsay reacted.
It's fucking raw! It's raw!
However, Raj was completely clueless about why Chef Ramsay rejected the salmon. And instead of just heading back to his station, he decided to question Ramsay's judgment.
Chef, would you mind if I said something, Chef, or no?
Not to me, you know.
Chef Ramsay was done with him.
Hey, what do you think this is, a talk show? Cook your fucking dish and shut your fat mouth!
To salvage the situation, the famous chef called Vinny over to help, and finally the team managed to send out their first table. But if you thought that was crazy, here comes an even more insane dinner service. If you ask me, right from the get-go, Roshni, who was assigned to the fish station with Brianna, had a pretty rough start in the service. She first started by sending up only 3 scallops when they needed 5.
Damn, dude. This is not how we're gonna do tonight. We gotta pull through this.
But guess what? Her second attempt was even worse.
There's not even a color on there. They're like raw.
Chef Ramsay, not one to hold back, ordered the women to touch them. Danielle thought they felt squishy, and Barbie, always ready with a quip, accused Roshni of not feeling a certain something in a long time. Yeah, she really went there. But trust me, it didn't stop there. When Roshni called for one more minute on the scallops, Tiffany wasn't prepared to send them out yet. Well, they say third time's the charm, right? Well, not in this case.
I've had enough. Just touch these. I mean, honestly.
I'm sorry, Chef.
Raw, raw, raw. Chef Ramsay understandably complained that after 45 minutes of service, not a single appetizer had made it out yet. But hey, he's always got the right solution up his sleeves. Guess what he did this time?
Get out! Get out of
No,
here!
Chef, no.
He kicked her out of the kitchen. Despite her desperate pleas to stay in the kitchen, Chef Ramsay was adamant. As she walked back to the dorms, upset about leaving the line, the red team somehow managed to turn things around and eventually won the service. Too many cooks, I guess? Well, this dinner service had its own share of highs and lows, and Roshni was definitely at the center of the storm. But what Kaylin did stirred up some serious tension. So Kaylin was assigned to the meat station during the dinner service and teamed up with Deneen. When Deneen offered a helping hand, Kaylin decided to refuse, assuming she was way more skilled. And besides, Deneen couldn't do anything right. But she decided to, go the extra mile and make fun of Deneen for good measure.
Deneen has no idea what's going on. She can't do anything right.
Anyways, you'd think that confidence is the key, right? Well, not for Kaylin. Kaylin sent her dish to the pass and she was beaming with confidence, but it failed to show in her dish.
Ladies! Ladies!
And well, Chef Ramsay had good reason to be mad.
I mean, does anyone need glasses? What is that?
Chef.
He discovered that the lamb was as raw as the day it came into the kitchen. Deneen used this opportunity to her advantage.
Kaylin talks a big game, but she's sending out shit.
Honestly, you can't say Deneen was wrong. Anyway, sometime later, Kaylin had to turn up the heat. But guess what her big solution to the whole undercooking problem was? Well, opening and closing the convection oven, apparently?
Kaylin, just keep the oven shut.
At one point, it got so annoying that even sous chef Andy had to step in and order her to chill out. Hoping for a redemption, Kaylin decided to give it another shot. But Chef Ramsay was so done.
Get it back in the fucking oven!
Damn, that was brutal. And the poor lamb just got caught in the crossfire. But finally, on the third try, she managed to salvage the dish, and Chef Ramsay's wrath was gone. For the moment, anyway. After an embarrassing loss, it was time for the dreaded nomination process. Kaylin, obviously, found herself in the hot seat, and things got so spicy during the deliberations. She was rightfully considered for elimination because of her constant struggles on the meat station, but she wasn't ready to back down. Viewers were quick to question her professionalism, citing overconfidence as the main issue. But here's the kicker, instead of owning up to it, she deflected the blame. Kaylin argued that if Deneen had handled both the lamb and the Wellington, it would have been way worse. And get this, she threw in the fact that she didn't even attempt to jump in despite getting rejected. Eventually, Kaylin found herself as the red team's first nominee for elimination, and Deneen took the second spot. But things were about to get really intense during Kaylin's plea. Without an ounce of hesitation, Kaylin laid the blame squarely on Deneen and her inexperience, claiming that it was the only reason the service went south. Cool, but who was the one who ruined the lamb like 15 times? You. And just in case it slipped your mind, Deneen wasn't unwilling to assist. She tried to help, but got shut down. However, still, Kaylin went on to assert that she fared way better than Deneen, saying that she just had a bad day. But here's the twist, something totally unexpected happened. Kaylin actually survived elimination. Instead of being thankful and taking her position, as she was dismissed, Kaylin dropped a classic "being nominated motivated me to get my shit together" statement. As is tradition. Didn't stop her from getting eliminated 2 episodes later though. And then, of course, there was also Kimberly from season 16, the executive chef and catering manager of a Latin-infused sushi restaurant.
Latin-infused sushi?
We do Latin-infused sushi.
Yeah, believe me, Chef Ramsay was as confused as the rest of us probably were. He was probably gearing up for some Japanese-inspired dish, but Kimberly had other plans. What was her dish, you ask? Some pappardelle pasta, clams, and a vibrant tomatoey sauce that practically screamed flavor. It all sounded promising, didn't it? Sadly, it didn't live up to the expectations. Chef Ramsay took one look at Kimberly's dish and let it rip. The whole thing was a disaster. But why was this the case? Well, just watch this.
Homemade pasta?
No, unfortunately not.
Obviously fresh clams.
I used 1 can of canned clam.
So, it should go without saying that she probably walked away with just 1 point after this mess, right? Now, let's get back to Demir. The flavor profile of his dish was far from redeemable too.
No, I'm not around because the lobsters just taste bland.
Chef Ramsay asked Carmen, his opponent, to taste the dish and rate it while he was at it. Carmen gave it a disappointing 2.
You're missing salt.
He's not only missing salt, he's allergic to salt.
Damn, that was unnecessarily humiliating. But did Chef Ramsay agree with Carmen's evaluation? Yeah, he wasn't one bit impressed.
Well, I think you're generous. For me, it's a 1.
Demir, predictably, was given the lowest score in that challenge. He should have heeded the wise words of Devin.
You gotta be better than that. If you use box pasta, you've just disrespected Chef Ramsay.
Amen. But hey, if we've learned anything from Hell's Kitchen, it's that the signature dish challenge isn't the be-all end-all of how far any given contestant is gonna go. We had Latasha in season 13 with her grilled watermelon, who ended up as the winner. We have Danny, who was politely asked to shove the grilled bananas up his ass. And of course, there was Petrosa's funny little Halloween scare. But none could compare to the season 7 winner Holly U. Gold. She was the second contestant from the red team to face Chef Ramsay's judgment, and she was up against Benjamin. Her dish was a banana leaf wrapped halibut, which sounds fine on paper I guess, but Chef Ramsay's reaction was nothing short of shocking. The famous chef immediately trashed the banana leaf, which put her on the defensive. She claimed that it was a classic Northern Indian dish. But Chef Ramsay, harkening back to his own extensive experiences in India, told her that he'd never seen food anywhere near what she'd given him anywhere near India.
I've been to India. I haven't seen food like that.
Things took a turn for the worse when the famous chef took a bite and promptly spat it out. Cultural touchstone or not, the flavor wasn't doing her any favors.
Holly, that was a disaster.
Despite the rocky start, it was an absolute delight watching her journey to the very top. It'll be so fun to follow Demir's arc on the show and see if he uses this setback as fuel to fly to the top. I'm rooting for you, brother. Now, let's do a little fun quiz. Let's put your HK knowledge to the test. I'll describe a menu of some of the most unappetizing dishes served, and you have to name the contestant who made them. Are you ready? Okay, so number 1. This dish can best be described as a plate of liquid shit, one that made Chef Ramsay violently puke it out.
Fucking hell.
Here's a little additional hint. Viewers are convinced that the maker of this dish was so embarrassed about it that she quit by faking a medical emergency. Either that, or she suffered a panic attack. Number 2 on the menu is a pan-seared chicken breast stuffed with portobello mushrooms and goat cheese that was overcooked on the outside and raw on the inside.
Excuse me.
Third is poached lobster tail with portobello mushrooms. Its creator flirted with Chef Ramsay during its presentation, but to no avail since it was thrown in the trash for being absolutely pathetic. Here's a little hint, the lobster tail was missing.
Where's the fucking tail?
Fourth up is a dish served by the oldest competitor in the history of the show. It was veal stuffed with prosciutto and gruyere in tomato sauce. The presentation initially shocked Chef Ramsay, but it ended up being cooked to perfection.
It's cooked to perfection.
So, how did you do? Let me know in the comment section down below whether or not you got them all right. Now, this next chef was pretty forgettable, except for his hilarious performance in the first challenge. You see, JP was pretty speedy in the kitchen. He wrapped up his cooking a whopping 20 minutes before the time was up. But when Chef Ramsay heard about it, he was shocked.
What is this? You've got just under 15 minutes to go.
I'll keep it hot.
You'll keep it hot?
JP wasn't convinced that Chef Ramsay's cynicism was warranted. He just kept saying that he could keep the dish warm and ready to go. But the famous chef warned him that it was doomed to become a sad, overcooked mess if he tried to do that. So, reluctantly, he decided to start from scratch. Fast forward to the judging phase, and JP was the second contestant up, going head-to-head with Sade. Before even taking a single bite, Chef Ramsay busted out his inner detective on JP. He grilled him about whether he had genuinely made an entirely new dish after wrapping things up so early the first time, and JP confirmed that he did. With that revelation hanging in the air, JP displayed his creation. It was a Boston baked haddock paired with fingerling potatoes, haricots verts, and a zesty lemon beurre blanc sauce. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, Chef Ramsay really wasn't in a forgiving mood that day. He tore into the dish, calling out how dry the fish was, how hard the potatoes were, and, well, hear this for yourself.
Potatoes are solid, and that looks like something out of the 1970s.
The famous chef really didn't stop there, though. He made sure to remind JP that he was the only chef who had to cook his dish twice, which was a huge mark against him.
I'm struggling whether to let you come to Hell's Kitchen, send you home.
And to rub some salt into his wound, he gave JP's dish a pitiful score of just 1 out of 5. But have you ever come across a contestant who wanted to transport Chef Ramsay into a different world through their dish? Well, there's probably a pretty long list, but the first person who comes to mind for me is this guy.
He's gonna be in that orgasm, like the Zen mode.
That's Gaurav, hoping that Chef Ramsay would feel the ultimate zen after taking his first bite of his signature dish, Duca-crusted tuna steak, paired with pepper rice. So, what did Chef Ramsay do? He decided to enlighten him.
What a big disappointment. Disgusting.
That was rough. But like Zen masters would probably tell him, you gotta chill, homie, and just let that shit go. Now, here comes another contestant whose dish came close to Gaurav's catastrophe. Jamie from season 7 was excited to present her creamy chicken Kiev, complete with brown rice and asparagus. She genuinely thought that this was her moment to shine. But the famous chef spotted something amiss.
That is the toothpick.
A pesky toothpick of all things sticking right out of the dish. This obviously completely put Chef Ramsay off it.
I'm not even gonna taste it.
And fair enough. I wouldn't want to taste something made so negligently either. But guess what? Her opponent didn't really do well either. Scott brought his duck breast accompanied by parsnip puree up, alongside some sort of politician-type speech with them.
It'll be a struggle for me to be a cook amongst other cooks, because I've become accustomed to being a chef amongst cooks.
Yeah, okay, we get it. But surprise, surprise, his dish didn't have a single appetizing element in it.
There's not one appetizing ingredient.
Naturally, neither Jamie nor he managed to score any points in this round. Now, Joanna from season 3 had quite the winning strategy up her sleeve, didn't she? Yeah, she was the one who nearly served rancid crab to a customer.
I'll flirt, I'll manipulate, I'll be able to get what I want out of Chef Ramsay.
Now, let's see how that went down. Her dish was a Parmesan-crusted chicken with whole wheat spaghetti and a raspberry Bellini. But Chef Ramsay, well, he didn't buy into her charm. He took one look at her dish, handed her the Bellini, and then...
There we are.
But wait, what about the dish?
What have you done to that?
It was drier than my humor and saltier than most of the comments you've been dropping lately.
The chicken's dry. Salty, salty, dry. Take your drink back, thank you.
Talk about a bad start. But here comes the next contestant who has not one, but 2 runs in the world of HK. There's no denying that Robin in All Stars was a little more tolerable than her original appearance in Season 10. But what do you think? Despite that though, it still doesn't make any sense how she got the black jacket over Gio. Anyway, her performance during Season 17's Signature Dish Challenge was downright hilarious. Actually, it's performance art. She should title it something like, how I overestimate my skills every time. She strolled up to the plate with all the confidence in the world, absolutely convinced that she was about to dazzle everyone. Behold, her grand creation, the pan-seared salmon complete with what she claimed was crispy skin, alongside a cauliflower puree.
I'm not worried. I've got this. It's all about taking
Chef Ramsay took one bite and the disappointment was palpable. That so-called crispy skin? Well, it was about as crispy as a wet napkin. The famous chef wasn't content with merely his own verdict, so he graciously offered a piece to Benjamin, and they both came to the same splendid consensus.
Extremely salty.
And now, it was time for Chef Ramsay to reveal the score.
1 out of 5. Oh. It was disgusting.
Gee, brutal. Up next, let's head over to the 3rd round of the challenge in Season 11, which, let me remind you, was pretty insane. Susan stepped up to face Jeremy, who confidently served a smoked Gouda and onion stuffed steak with mashed potatoes. But Chef Ramsay wasn't convinced. He immediately kicked things off with some questions. First off, he wanted to know Jeremy's job, to which he responded with lead cook. Then came the big question about his dish. What was it? A ribeye? Jeremy hesitated before going back and forth and eventually setting on a tentative, I believe it is? A quote-unquote lead chef that can't tell one steak from another? Well, Chef Ramsay didn't appreciate his cluelessness. Now, it was Susan's turn. She proudly presented her lamb and couscous, but Chef Ramsay had a rather unusual question up his sleeve. And, well, the famous chef's roast wasn't over yet. He took a bite of the couscous and promptly spat it out. Yeah, Chef Ramsay wasn't in the mood to eat overcooked garbage. Well, he never is, but you get my point. He asked Susan if she found the situation amazing, to which she quietly shook her head. In the end, neither of them managed to score even a single point. By the way, we also had douchebag Dan this season, who had the audacity to kinda compare his dish to one of the biggest ever culinary legends.
How did you make the hollandaise?
I used whole butter. It's good enough for Julia Childs. It's good enough for me.
The audacity, I tell you. He served eggs Benedict, complete with champagne hollandaise sauce, tomatoes, and sautéed spinach. But the presentation was botched, and Chef Ramsay didn't hesitate to put him in his place.
Julia Childs would be turning in her grave right now if she saw that.
Damn right she will.
Did you throw up on that plate?
But up next, Amanda from Season 6 set the bar real low. Before Chef Ramsay could even dive into her dish, she pulled a surprise move that left everyone raising their eyebrows.
2 seconds.
What's that?
Tequila.
Yeah, so she just gracefully stepped out of line, determined to snag some tequila shots, all in the hope of sharing one with Chef Ramsay himself. Talk about dreaming big, right? In no time, she was back, tequila shots in hand, ready for what promised to be an interesting twist. As for her dish, she presented margarita French toast with tequila batter. And, well, Chef Ramsay didn't know what to say.
I thought you were joking. You're cooking me a slice of toast dipped in egg with
tequila
to get me drunk?
Maybe he should have called her an alcoholic. Now, French toast is known for being pretty quick and easy to whip up, taking all of 3 minutes. Hell, I probably would have made it faster at home.
1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, 4. Give me a lot more.
Now, this brings us to a very important question. What the hell was she doing for that whole time? Come on, Amanda. Did you really think you were at a bachelorette party? Well, either way, Chef Ramsay was stunned. Now, during Thomas Henry Polly's signature dish challenge, Chef Ramsay noticed that he was working up quite a sweat and seemed to have quite the knack for self-deprecating humor.
I sweat all the time. I'm a schmetzer. Don't worry about that.
Well, honestly, I can't say he wasn't funny. But anyway, back to the task at hand. He presented a shrimp scampi paired with a twist, a cooked Caesar salad. Cooked? Wait, is that even a thing? Have any of you tried cooked Caesar salad before? I know I haven't, because Chef Ramsay, in all of his years of experience, also hadn't.
First time in my entire life, I've been served a cooked Caesar salad.
Yeah, he wasn't too pleased with even the idea of it, revolted even. And that revulsion forced his hand.
There you go.
As for the shrimp scampi, they met a similar fate.
Back with your Caesar salad.
Thank you, chef.
But Tom, to his credit, seemed pretty unshaken. He boldly claimed that he could handle Chef Ramsay's criticism.
I'm a man, I can take it, it's no big deal. He wouldn't break my chop.
Now, wow, I've got to respect the man's confidence. Most contestants immediately get bitter and angry when faced with criticism half as harsh as Tom faced here. I guess he was prepared for the worst. And he took that resilient attitude of his all the way to 8th place that season. But sadly, he passed away on July 1st of this year. His obituary reads, Tom's highlight was being cast on season 2 of Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay. And I'm sure being featured on the show meant a lot to him. We'll miss you, Mr. Pauly. So these were some of the most shocking signature dishes that have ever had the displeasure of crossing Chef Ramsay's plate. If you could think of any other dishes that could rival any of the ones I talked about today, make sure to drop them in the comment section down below. Now, don't forget to join me on my channel's Discord server for free, where we can take a deep dive into more signature dishes that left Chef Ramsay shocked. And guess what? I even have an exclusive server for those of you who are interested.